Hi everyone, in today's video we're going to have an introduction into Fusion 360, have a look at the sort of user layout of everything, and then have a go at producing our first 3D model. So when you open it up, it's going to look like this. So control wise, I've used my mouse to move around. You can click the middle mouse button to pan and use wheel to scroll in and out. If I want to rotate my model, I can grab this view cube here and I can sort of rotate around. If at any point you sort of like get yourself super lost, what you can do is just hover over, and if you come back to this home thing here, and it'll zoom you back into like the normal workspace again. Down at the bottom, we've got a bit of customization we can do. So if I go to viewport here, I go to multiple, I can look at multiple different views. So base that on our view cube here. So if I just get back to single view a second, so you can go front, right side, back side, left, top and bottom as well. So you can rotate yourself around that nice and easily. If you want to get out of that, what you need to do is grab and just move your cube back again. Layout grid, so that's, if I turn that off, you can see what's going to happen. It's going to go completely white. So I recommend having layout grid on because it helps you, particularly if you have to do something very, very precise. Grid lock and snap to grid are very, very useful once you start doing things like sketching, because it will snap things together, basically. I'll sort of, as we're going through and that starts becoming more relevant, I'll highlight it to you. Display settings, visual style, at the minute, we haven't got anything in the viewport, so you won't actually be able to see what's going on. But once we've done it, we'll have a look there. Environment, so you can change those like sort of like dark mode style. You've got loads of different options that you can have. There's no right or wrong for which one you like, it's just sort of personal preference. Effects, so ground plane, so that is when once you start having a model, it'll start like making it look like it's sitting on a surface rather than sort of like hovering in midair type of thing. Ambient occlusion and shadows, I mean, they kind of do what they say on the tin. You can sort of click those on and off and see which ones you sort of prefer. And object visibility, so this is to do with once we're mainly going to use like sketches, so that's the main one, but I wouldn't worry too much about those at the minute. So at the top are your actual workspace. When we're in solid at the minute, and you can see we're in solid because all the icons are sort of blue. Okay. Excuse me. Next one, surface. You can see we're all sort of oranges, meshes are sort of yellow, and sheet metal kind of blue, but like we will use a little bit of sheet metal down the road, but I wouldn't worry about that at the minute. The biggest sort of like confusion at the start is people sort of go into the wrong surface by accident. So for the most part, we're going to be in solids. What you might do occasionally is go on form and you sort of go to these purple looking things here. So you can just close that and then delete it. So for the most part, we're going to be in solids. Okay. Now, down at the bottom is where our history is going to be. So every time we do an action, where we create a sketch, we do an extrude or whatever, everything we do is going to appear down at the bottom here. And then all our sketches, all our bodies and everything will start appearing at our tree here. Now, at the minute, there's nothing there because we haven't done anything. So what we're going to start to do is create a Lego brick just so you can sort of see what happens as we start to do stuff. So I'm going to create a sketch. And it's going to ask me, what plane do I want to draw on? What you can't do is you can't just draw it in like thin air. Okay, so if you're going to create a sketch to make something 3D, you need to either do it on a plane, and think of a plane as like a piece of paper that's lying flat on something, or you can do it on a surface. But what you can't do is just do it like hovering in the air. So we're going to click on this bottom one here, and it will automatically snap into that view. So you can see we're in the top view on our view cube here. Now, once I'm in sketch mode, you'll see our icons have all changed. Okay, now under create, we've got loads of options, lines, rectangles, circles, arcs, and so on. Some of them have got keyboard shortcuts, which is normally indicated by the little letters that we've got there, which we use quite a lot. So I want to do a rectangle. Now I can go to create and rectangle, but you see we've got R there. You also see I've got our sketch palette here. Just keep an eye on that for a second. I'm going to hit R for rectangle, and it now has rectangle there. Now we've got a few different kinds of rectangle. I've got 2-point rectangle, so I can do corner to corner like that, which I don't want. I've got 3, so I can do corner, 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 which I never use. Or we've got center rectangle, which is the one that I do want, because that means I can pick the center. When I go into the origin, and the origin is just that bit we see in the circle, it's basically right in the middle of the whole document. Where possible, starting from the origin is the best thing to do, because later on, if you have to do something later and you kind of figure out where you are, being at the origin just makes things generally easier. So I'm going to click in the middle, I'm going to start to drag out, and you see it starting from the middle, and I can drag out exactly where I want. Now, as I'm doing it, you see I've got these little number boxes going up and down. Okay, so that's doing the exact measurements. What I can do is either put in the measurements exactly that I want now, or I can just click. If I'm going to do the exact measurements now, what I could do, so I've got these written down, so what I will do is do 31.8, and then if I hit tab, it'll swap to the next one. Do 15.8, and hit enter. And you'll see it's gone black. That means that it's fully constrained. If I just do another rectangle quickly, I've got center one here, like that, and say I didn't put the measurements in exactly like that. If I were hit D on my keyboard for dimensions, also under modify, give me 1 second, it's there, sketch dimensions there, hit D, and then click on the line, then I could put the measurements in afterwards. Okay, so you don't have to do it straight away. You can do it later. It sort of just depends what you're doing. Sometimes I do it straight away, sometimes I do it a little bit later, like that. Okay, so I'm going to get rid of that one, we don't want it. So, I'm then going to hit finish sketch. So we've now got a sketch, and you see down at the bottom here, I've now got a sketch in my history. So at any point if I want to change that, I can right click and edit sketch and change it if I want to. And then you'll notice down on the left hand side on our tree, we've now got a sketch folder. Okay, so I want to make this into a 3D object. Now, I can go to create, and there's loads of options to do things like extruding, revolving, sweeping. We're going to use all of these across a few different videos. I'm going to use extrude, and you see the keyboard shortcut there, E. So if I hit E, and it'll grab the profile it thinks we want to extrude. Now I start dragging this up, you see what's happening? It's actually going to make it 3D. And again, it gives you dimensions that you can put in there. So I want this to be, got this written down, 9.1, and hit enter. So we've now got a 3D object. Okay. Again, if we ever change our mind, we can right click and edit that extrude and change it. And you see here as well, we've now got bodies, and you come down here, we've now got that body as well. So bodies and sketches will always start to appear down here. Now, before I do anything else, I'm going to save this. So I'm going to come here and just go, now, what's going to happen is autosave is kicked in. So no matter what now, it's going to keep saving I think it's like every 5 minutes, every 10 minutes. So you never need to remember. I always do sort of like safety saves every once in a while, but once you save it once, autosave is enabled. So now we've got a 3D shape. We're going to start turning it into a Lego brick. So what we're going to do is create a sketch. Now before, we had to create it on a plane, which we can still do, or we can actually, now we've got a surface, click on that surface. And I don't know what they're called, we'll call them the bobbly bits of our Lego brick. So they're a circular shape, so I want to create a circle. So create circle, you see we've got a C. So I'm going to hit C, and it doesn't matter where for now, I'm just going to draw it anywhere like that. So I'm going to dictate exactly what size I want it to be, so I'm going to click on it, come up here, and the dimensions I want that to be are 4.6. I'm going to enter. I also know how far I want it to be away from the edge. So I'm going to click on there and then click on this edge and come out here, and I want it to be 3.9. Hit enter. And the same from this distance here as well. Now I could do 3.9 there again, but I'm actually going to click on this here and hit enter. So that's exactly right, because what could happen now is this is the main dimension and everything else is going to copy that. So if I change this later to like 5, it's going to do it evenly and it'll update there. And do 3.9. I'm then going to need another circle. Again, I'm going to draw it sort of anywhere. Now, this is where we're going to start using some constraints, because I don't really fancy doing all the dimensions again. So equals, I'm going to say I want this circle here to be equal to U, so it's going to change the size. I'm also going to say horizontal vertical. I want this point here to be in line with that point there. And the last one, I'm going to dimensions, I'm going to click here and here. And I want it to be 3.9, so if I click on that dimension again and hit enter, like that. So now, if I were to double click on that and change it again, everything updates at the same time. So that is why it's a really good idea to use constraints when you're doing something very, very precise, because then if you want to change things later, you can do. Now, I could do that for all 4 of them, or like all the rows of the like bobbly bits, but what we can do is go to rectangular pattern. I'm going to grab these and start to drag. And you see it's going to start to want to profile doing those shapes. I need to have 4. Now if we get this up here, this pattern, now what we want to do, distribution, we go spacing, and the distance between them, what I want to be is 8. So what we're going to do is do 8, and you can see, so jump to the side, because what we need to do is just put a minus in it. Ooh. So let's do that again. So let's go to rectangular pattern, grab those, grab out, do 4, spacing, and I'm going to do -8. So they're all in exactly the right position. Now, I'm still in Sketch, so normally I said finish Sketch and then extrude, but if I were to just hit E for extrude, automatically it'll shut the sketch off for me. I'm going to grab each one of these profiles. I start to drag it up. If I drag it up, it'll cut up. If I drag it down, it'll start to cut a hole. So I'm going to start dragging it up, and the exact height needs to be 1.5. So I'm going to type in 1.5. Now, if you look at the extrude here, operation says here join. For the most part, joining is what you want, but later on, if you start doing like loads of complex parts, you might want it to be a new body, but join is the default. So just be aware later on what that is. I'm going to click OK. So it's starting to resemble a Lego brick. Now at the bottom, we need to hollow it out. Now there's a few ways you could do that. So you could create a sketch, draw another rectangle and sort of like extrude it down. But what we're going to do, under modify, we're going to do shell. Now there's no keyboard shortcut for that, but it is on the shelf here because it's quite a commonly used tool. If I grab this and start to drag it in, you see what's happening. It's sort of like shelling out, and also it's showing where those imprints are, which is what we want. Now we want this to be shelled out 1.4. 1.9 even. I'm going to hit OK. So next, what we're going to want is the actual sort of internal bubbly bits that make it all sort of link together. So I'm going to create a sketch. I'm going to create a sketch on this inside surface here. Now I kind of want to know where these are properly, so I know where to put the internal bits. So I've started a sketch there, because you can tell the sketch palette is open. I'm then going to hit P for project. So if you go to create project, it's here. P. So I'm going to hit P, and I'm going to have this selection filter and specified entities. I'm just going to click on it. And if you see what's happening, it's essentially just showing you where the outline of that shape is on your actual sketch. So I'm going to grab all of those. And hit OK. And if I rotate around, you can see it's showing me where the outline of those shapes are. So now I'm going to hit C for circle, or you go to create circle. I'm doing center circle. I'm actually draw randomly without really caring where they are for now. Like that. Now I want them to be touching, because they need to, like with Lego bricks, they need to fit together. So I'm going to come up here to constraints, go to tangent. I'm going to say this circle here be tangent to that circle. Be tangent to that circle, and be tangent to that circle. And you see it goes black, means it's fully constrained, I can't move anywhere. So if I try and grab this now, I can't physically move it. So any sketch that goes black means you're not going to be able to move it anywhere. I'm going to do the same for these other two. So tangent, you, and you, like that. And then same, just working your way around like that. Now, they're not solid. So what we're going to do is going to go to offset, click it, and if you see what happens here, let me do an offset of that line. Now the offset of that needs to be, I've got it written down, is 1 mil. So I'm going to do 1, but that's going to the outside. So let's do -1. I will repeat that same task. So if I right click and go to repeat offset and grab that and do -1. And right click, repeat offset, -1. And then I'm going to extrude. So I'm just going to come out so you can see what basically this is what we've just drawn on the inside shape. Now I'm going to hit E to extrude and grab those profiles. Now I'd can figure out exactly what size I need, but I don't really want to. I know it needs to be the same length as that. So if I just have that down, if I click and say, look, I want it to come to this surface here, it will automatically jump, so that'll guarantee it's going to be exactly the right size. Okay, and I'm going to hit OK. So now, modeling wise, we're done. Now it's not quite looking realistic yet because it's got all these sort of sharp edges. So the thing to do at the end of everything is to add a fillet to the edges. It essentially just rounds those edges off. Now if you go into modify, you got a fillet, or there is the keyboard shortcut F. So I'm going to hit F on my keyboard. I'm going to grab all these external edges like that. And what is really good is if you hover over, you can sort of poke through and grab certain edges as well, just making sure you've got everything. I'm just going to grab these ones as well. It's always good to do a little rotate around just to make sure you've got everything, because it is very easy to miss sometimes. Okay, and I want those to be 0.5, so I'm going to do 0.5, hit enter. And you see it start to round those edges off everywhere. Just go around, check I've not missed any. And the last thing I'm going to do, I'm going to right click, repeat fillet. I'm going to grab these edges. And type in 0.2 and hit enter. So now we've got one Lego brick modelled. In fact, I'm going to repeat fillet. And let's do 0.2 on those as well. Like that. Okay. The modelling side, we're done. Okay, but what we're going to have a look at doing now is sort of texturing it and how to create some technical drawings from it. So to begin with, we're still nice and simple. So you can see how many things we've done, how many sort of actions we've done as we're doing it, as we've gone along. This is very, very short. You'll find if you've got more complex things, particularly if you end up doing like architecture or that type of thing, this can go on for miles and miles and miles. So what we're going to do under bodies here is just body one. I'm going to take this body, right click and create component from body. And you see it's moved down here. Now it doesn't look like anything's really changed, and it hasn't really. It just, once we start having loads of different models together, you want them as components because they're organized, and so that when you can start to do technical drawings, it'll recognize them. Now I'm going to just click so I can change the name of it and just call that like block one. Now, when you are modeling things, you also want to think about how you're going to render it and make it look nice. So what we're going to do first of all is just do a technical drawing for this, which shouldn't take very long, and then what we're going to do is have a go how to like sort of render it and make it look quite nice. So at the minute we're under design here. If I click on here, you'll see we've got render and we've got drawing. We have the other ones as well. If you've got the free educational license, most of these will be open to you. Most of them probably won't use. The most common ones I use are design, render and drawing. Do a little bit of manufacturing with CNC router and that sort of thing, but most of the other ones don't really touch. So I'm going to click on drawing and go from design. So I get this. Now it's basically saying, what do you want to grab? And it's grabbing, that's why I got it as a component. ISO, which is International Standards Organization, units, millimeters, sheet size, A3, and click on OK. So now we're in the drawing workspace. We can still jump back to our previous thing here, although it's loading, so I shouldn't have done that. Okay, so we are now in our technical drawing sheet. So standard size, so those that are doing engineering, that's something you might be familiar with, sort of like technical, like the borders and title blocks. I've also got a base view here. So it's going to ask me to place it somewhere. So I'm just going to click anywhere. So click like there, like that, and hit OK. Now, what I can then start to do, so it doesn't matter where I place this for now, is I'm going to click on projected view. If I click on it and start to drag up, it will start to do different views. Okay. Now those are my 2D views. If I then come down in the corner, it will then do a 3D view. Okay. I can then move these views. If I try and move these views here, these 2D ones, it won't let me move them off line, but it'll let me move the distance around. Okay, because it's trying to keep it technically correct. I can then double click on this and you can change the sizing of it. So this is scale 2:1. I might then choose to like make it bigger. And then you could, if you wish to, change the sort of shading to it as well, like that. And you can sort of just tamper around with it a little bit. And last thing you might want to do is then start to add things like dimensions to it. So that is where if you come into dimensions, loads of different options depending on what you want to do. So you like dimension lines, if you just click on it and drag up, it will tell you what dimensions these lines are. If you come over fillet, it'll even tell you what dimension the radiuses are, or the radii are. If you go to things like, where are we? Radial dimensions. So if I click on circles, and come out, it will tell you what those are as well. So what you can do is spend a bit of time grabbing all the dimensions you need for your technical drawings. Now, obviously, you don't need to repeat dimensions. So I don't need to have like 30.8 on any of my drawings, 40, anything like that. But it's just a very good way of showing all of your dimensions. Now, I might want to know how far away. Oh, there. So there it is. So have a play around. That is how to create technical drawings. Obviously with a Lego brick, it's very, very simple to do. The only thing to remember really is that you need to make sure it is a component first, otherwise it won't work. Okay. Then if you wish to, you then go to export as PDF, and then you can use it for coursework, use it for manufacturing, whatever it is. So that's how to create a technical drawing. So quite a simple thing to do, but quite a useful tool, quite a useful skill and tool to have. I'm actually just going to close that because I don't really need that at the minute. And I got back to my Lego brick. Now, what I want to do is start to like render this, make it look a bit more realistic, a bit better. Now, no one ever plays with one Lego brick. That would be a very, very depressing playtime. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create multiple of them. So I'm going to grab this one, hit Control-C on my keyboard, and then up the top here, I'm going to right-click, and I'm going to go to Paste New. Now, it's important I've gone to Paste New, because if I go to Paste and then I edit one of them, it will edit all of them. So if I go to Paste New, it makes it its own new thing. I then, a minute, can't really see anything, but it's under there. So if I move the arrows around, you can see it is under there. So what I'm going to do is sort of just move it around into position a little bit. Move around my views. And just sort of create an assembly of different Lego blocks. And I can just click, again, go to Paste New. Drag up. Bring it into position. Something like that. And then what I might want to do is grab one more, but then flip it upside down so we can see the bottom of it, because we can model something on the bottom if we want it to be visible. So what I might do then is just come around. Let's change that to 180, just so we can see, like we've modeled something underneath it. I'll bring that into position a bit. Like that. Now I'm not going to do loads and loads, but that's how to create multiple models and do something with it. So last couple of things we're going to do is start to add some materials. So if you go to modify and come down to here, you've got appearance. Please notice keyboard shortcut A. So if I hit A, this is our appearance tab. So this is where we have our library of materials. So there's a decent set of materials that you can do with Solid Fusion. There are other softwares for texturing, which we'll go into it on later dates as well. But there's a decent sort of like starter bit into texturing. So I'm going to go to plastic. And there's loads of different kinds of plastic that we can go with. So I'm just going to grab something. Let's grab something like that. I'll double click at it. You can change the properties a little bit, so roughness, reflectivity. If you're new to 3D modeling, you might not know what things like roughness and that sort of thing actually refer to with the model. Don't get yourself too bogged down with it at the minute because it's quite a rabbit hole of information. But all I'm going to do is change some colors. Let's do like a red, like that. And just drag it and drop it. And then I'm going to right click, duplicate. And just give me some different colors, like that. I'm just going to give me loads of different brick colors so they stand out and they're different from each other. Like that. Last thing I do in terms of trying to make it look a bit more realistic, if I jump into a render, you see it still looks a bit too perfect and clean. Now we've got our fillets that make it stand out a bit better. Turn my in-canvas on so we see what's going on. Now, depending on the quality of your PC, in-canvas render might take quite a long time. If you've got a better, something with a graphics card, basically, it'll go a bit faster. But it's good because you can sort of update it and see how it's going. So what I might do actually is let's and then let's turn reflectiveness way down. Resolution depth, I'm going to turn to 0. Let's midpoint. Okay, 0.12, so I'm going to do the same on those. And you'll see in the background it's updating all of that. So you can always change the settings for your materials. There we go. So I've got Lego bricks, but what I want to do is make them look a bit more like used and that sort of thing. So what we can do is if I go to, in fact, at this stage, I'm going to give this a quick little save, just to make sure it's safe. Insert and decal, not canvas, decal. And then what I have got in my downloads is a few different sort of like scratches and dirt and that type of thing. So if I grab this one here, if I like grab a surface, you see we've sort of got these scratches. What I'm going to do is make it bigger. I might turn the opacity down quite a bit. Just play around with how that looks. Now, for this to work, what you need to have, so you see that sort of breaks it up, makes it look less like perfect, is I go on this website here. So let me just grab it. So I go onto this website here called Clean PNG, and I just type in like scratches and grab something quite light, like these sorts of ones, or I might go like dirt. And I might grab, say, this one and download. Now, there are some websites that will try and charge you. I recommend, there are loads of free ones. If you go to Photoshop, you can always make your own, but I wouldn't recommend suddenly like buying a pack. It's not massively necessary, personally. So yeah, please don't get yourself ripped off or anything like that. So let's just add a few more. So I'm going to go to design, insert, decal. Let's grab this one we've just got. Now what you might choose to do is say you only want on one surface. In that case, turn chain faces off and it will only stick on that one face. But for this, I'm just going to grab it, make it really, really big so it sort of covers everything. Again, I might turn the opacity down slightly. And then just rinse, repeat. So let's do one more. Let's grab that one. Oh, that's not the one I meant to grab. And then we'll do the last one. Okay. So then I'm just going to jump over to render. And you see it just makes it look less like perfect, which is what we're after really. You don't want it to look like too clean. Okay, but it becomes quite subtle. You can always change the opacity slightly. So last thing to do then is to render it. So what we're going to do is come to render. And cloud rendering means that because you've got education license, you've got unlimited tokens, so you don't have to worry about cost or that. Local render if you've got a decent PC. So what we're going to do cloud render. I'm going to click on render and I'm going to let that render. Okay, so once it has finished rendering, if you click on your image, you get your image here. So you click on this icon here to download it. I'm going to select transparent background. I'm going to select PNG. So that's where I want to put it. I'm just going to put it on my desktop for now. And then what we're going to do is we're going to jump over to Photoshop to sort of like compose it in a nice little presentation. Okay, so now we're in Photoshop. I was going to go to default photo size. I go to File and Open and just grab that file that we did. Which one was? Not that one. This one here. So it's got a transparent background. I'm going to Control C. Probably just bring it here. I'm going to make it a bit bigger. So what we're going to do is grab a rectangle and just drag it over everything. For now I'm going to do this grey colour. I'm going to, on the layers on the right hand side, just drag that below our bricks like that. I'm going to grab this shape, go to Filter and convert to Smart Filter. And then go to Filter and Noise and Add Noise. Now if I drag this, you see what's going. It's basically making like a little fuzzy background. I'm not going to have it mega high, just something like 5, something like that. And then if I come down to effects here, I'm going to go to gradient overlay. And I'm going to grab this. I've set to opacity to 100 and I've got my gradient as white to black. So you see what's going on there. Okay. So then I'm going to just come to this layer, go to the effects thing again, bring that up. And just so you can see what's going to go on, what I'm going to do is let's add a stroke, which does a line around the outside, so you can change the sizes of it. I'll do opacity of the stroke at 50, stroke size 2. You can play around with it depending on what you want to do, but I like to keep it quite small and subtle. Then let's also do outer glow and drop shadow. Hit OK. So that, we can move that however we want, is how to model, render in Fusion, and then just take your model and then present it inside of Photoshop. Feel free as well, you can then click on it and go to like image and adjustment, play around with things like the brightness if you wish to, or you might choose to go to adjustments and do all sorts depending on what you want to do. It depends how good you are at Photoshop, but you don't need to do anything super complicated. You can even change the colours in here if you wish to. I hope you found that helpful and interesting. Got any questions, please let me know.